Okay, so today we're going to figure out how to find angles given the sides. So we're going to do a bit of a warm-up first. So you're going to need your calculator. So I want to know, what is the sine of 30? What is the cosine of 40? And what is the tangent of 50? And we're going to keep a lot of decimals with it. So remember, your thing should be in degrees. So it should say sine, you type in sine of 30, and I get 0.5. If you're not getting 0.5, try to reset your calculator. It means your calculator is not in degrees. It should say, probably hard to see on the video, but mine has a D. It might say DEG on your calculator. If it says R or RAD, you're not in degrees. You could also send me an email asking how to change your calculator if that's the situation. But resetting is probably the easier way to do it. Go to Google your calculator and how to do that. Cosine of 40 is 0.7660, and tangent of 50 is 1.191. It's 8, so it's 7.5, but I'm going to say it rounds up to 8. Okay, so that's our warm-up. So now I'm going to say the sine of some mysterious number is 0.5. And what is that mysterious number? And you can tell looking up here that it's actually, we know that the sine of 30 is 0.5. And let's say I said that the cosine of some mysterious number was 0.7660. And then you know the answer is going to be roughly 40. But let's say we didn't know. Let's say we hadn't done that first, and we want to figure that out using the calculator. So what's going to happen, if you look on your calculator, then what you have is you have a sine, and then above the sine is something that says sine with a little -1 next to it. So if you look on my calculator over here, I'm going to hold my calculator up. There's a sine, and then above it, there's a sine to the -1 kind of in orange. And your calculator will be exactly the same thing. I mean, the way you access that is, in my calculator, you have to press Shift. Your calculator might be a second function, or it might be something along those lines. But either way, you're going to probably have to press something on the top left, and then the sine button. And then when you do that, then you're going to do it. So what we're going to do is, the way we write that is we write sine to the -1. It's not actually an exponent; it's an inverse sine. So sine to the -1 of 0.5. And what's going to happen there is it's going to be shift sine. And notice my calculator says sine to the -1. And in brackets, 0.5. And it's 30. So the inverse sine of 0.5 is 30. The angle that has a sine of 0.5 is 30. And if I did the same thing with cosine, let's say I did the same thing with cosine. So inverse cosine of 0.7660. So that should say 40. As a spoiler, it's not going to, but let's see what's going to happen. So it's going to be inverse cos of 0.7660. And I did something wrong. Inverse cos of 0.7660. And I got 40.0039 and stuff. Why did I not get exactly 40? Because if you remember, the cosine of 40 wasn't exactly 0.760. It was 0.7660444443 and a lot of other numbers. So, but it's roughly right. So the inverse cosine of this is 40. And then if I did the same thing with tangent, that would also work. So the inverse things, the things with the little -1s over there, those are the ones that let you get the angles that cause certain ratios. So let's use that now in an example. So what's going to happen is, let's say you have an example here. Okay, so what we have is, let's say this is 12 and this is 37. And I need to find x. So I'm going to do the setup steps. It's going to be the same setup steps that we did when we were finding the sides, but now we're going to be doing something else. So it's going to be, we'll try sine. Oh, we have to name the sides. So this is our thing. So this is going to be the, I forget which colors I used. I'll use red for this. This is going to be the hypotenuse. This is going to be the opposite. And this over here is going to be the adjacent side. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say that the sine, and remember you can't just say sine alone. It has to be sine of something. In this case it's going to be sine of x, because x is the angle. So the sine of x is, if we remember our SOHCAHTOA correctly, SOHCAHTOA. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite of hypotenuse is something over 37. Well, that's going to be pretty useless. Let's try cosine of x. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is this. And there we go. And that's going to be the winner. So we could go on the tangent as well, but that's the one that we're going to use. So cos of x equals 12 over 37. Now what we're going to do in this class for now is we're going to go 12 divided by 37. We're going to turn that into an actual decimal. So and we're going to keep 4 decimals. So it's going to be 0.3243. So the cos of x is 0.3243. Then what's going to happen is, in the next line, we are going to write this. So x equals, if cos of x equals this, then x is the inverse cos of 0.3243. And you have to show this line. It's not an optional line. You must show this line. And then once you show this line, you can then type it in. So we do the inverse cos of 0.3243, which is 71, and we're going to round it, which is 71.07, which is 71.1, and we're measuring an angle, so it's going to be degrees. And that's, so the measure of this angle over here in this triangle with a right angle is 71.1 degrees. There is a slightly faster way you could have done it. What you could have done is, from this step over here, you could have said that x was equal to the inverse cos of 12 over 37. And then in your calculator, instead of writing it as the decimal, you could have done second function inverse cos of 12 divided by 37. And then that keeps a lot of decimals, and you'd still get 71.07. Slightly more accurate answer. But otherwise, still pretty good. Okay, let's do another example. So this will be example 2. Okay, so I want to find x here. So again, I'm trying to find the angle. So what I would do, I'm going to do the usual stuff. That's my angle, so this is going to be the hypotenuse, this is going to be the opposite, this is going to be the adjacent. I could go through all 3 of them and see which one works, but I'm not going to do that. In this case, I'm going to see, okay, so keeping SOHCAHTOA in mind. So keeping SOHCAHTOA in mind, I need something that has an opposite and an adjacent. Opposite and adjacent is going to be tangent. So we're going to use the tangent ratio. So it's going to be tangent of, and I can't just write tangent, it has to be tangent of x is 12 over 43. So then I'll do it the fast way. You can do, actually I'll do it both ways. So x equals the inverse tangent of 12 over 43. So the inverse tangent of 12 divided by 43 is 15.59, so it's going to be 15.6 degrees. And that is the answer. What you could have done alternatively is we could have actually done 12 divided by 43. So 12 divided by 43 is 0.27907. Remember to keep at least 4 numbers when you're doing this. If you make a small difference, it could really change the angle. So you want to keep a lot of different numbers when you're doing this. So tan of x equals 0.27907. So x equals the inverse tangent of 0.27907. It's being cut off a little. And then we do the inverse tangent of 0.27907, which is, again, 15.6 degrees. It doesn't really matter how you do it. They both work out kind of well. I'll do one last example. Put the 19 over here. And we're trying to find x. So since we're trying to find x, then this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite the angle, this is the adjacent. We go back to SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA, we're looking for something that includes the opposite and the hypotenuse, which is going to be sine. So sine has the opposite and the hypotenuse. So then what we have is we have sine of x equals 19 over 24. I'm only going to do the fast way this time. X equals the inverse sine of 19 over 24. X equals, so the inverse sine of 19 divided by 24. So the answer for this one is 52.3 degrees. Okay. Okay, so what do we have here? This is the that's the angle, so this is going to be the hypotenuse. This is the opposite. This is the adjacent. So we want something that has the opposite and the adjacent, and it's going to be opposite and adjacent. So SOHCAHTOA, opposite and adjacent. No, it's this one. So opposite and adjacent is going to be the tangent. So it's going to be tangent of, what's our angle? 40. So actually in this one we're not finding an angle anymore. We're just back to the old stuff over there. So tangent of 40, well, we'll continue anyway. Tangent of 40 is x over 22. And these are solved, as you may or may not recall, in a totally different way. And then chunk, those cancel. This is all from the previous video. So x equals 22 times the tangent of 40, which, assuming your calculator is in the right frame of mind, times the tangent of 40 is 18.46, so that rounds to 18.5. So x equals 18.5. And would not be degrees, because actually this is a side and it is not an angle. Okay. Let's do one more. No, let's not. So what's going to happen is you have 4 examples there. I would draw the triangles. Here, let's draw them out for you. So you're going to review the lesson. So the way you're going to review the lesson is you are going to you're going to have, that was example 1. Example 2 was 1243x. Example 3 was, let me find it, x 1924. And example 4 was 22x 40. So what I would do at this point is, oops, that's a little bit off screen. Those are your 4 examples. You could pause the video here and try to do these 4 examples on a separate piece, and then compare it to the, earlier in the video and see if you got the right answers. If you have any questions, you can email me, and I'll post a worksheet on it for tomorrow.